Hi guys, Todd Falcone here, and welcome to another blog post. I'm here in my office fairly late at night. Just got my boys to bed. They were little crazy men tonight, and I got a question from one of my A-teamers about how to do a follow-up call, and I thought, well, why not just put it on video for everybody to see, because I'm instead of making them try to dig for the information on one of my previous calls, and I've definitely covered this, how to do a follow-up call on previous conference calls. So if you want to go access that information, you can go to mlmpowerhour.com and find one of my previous live conference calls that are archived that I went into that. So how do you do a follow-up call? This is how I do it. This is how it happens pretty much all the time. Have a first conversation with somebody, and they've expressed an interest. Doesn't matter how I found. I'm going to get into just simply how the mechanics of a follow-up call goes. It doesn't matter whether they were generated online, offline, warm market, cold market. Essentially, the purpose of the follow-up call is to take that person's temperature. A follow-up call is generally meaning you have had some conversation with the person. They've said, yes, I'm interested in taking a look at your business or your product or a combination of both. You've gotten them some information and they're still showing interest, yet they're going to a next step perhaps. Maybe they need to get a little bit more information to make an intelligent and informed decision. So what happens is this. I'll pick up the phone, and one of two things either is going to occur. They're there, which is a good sign, or they're not there, not a good sign. Especially if I have booked a follow-up appointment ahead of time and the person is promising me that they're going to be there for that scheduled time to talk, and then they're not there and they don't show up. Not a good sign. That's generally they're pretty close to getting a Sharpie pen through their name, and I'm pretty much done at that point. But let's say the follow-up call actually occurs. It's pretty simple. I mean, I'll even act it. I'll have my headset on, of course, and I'll dial the prospect and I'll say, hi, it's Bob in. Yeah, this is Bob. Hey, Bob, Todd Falcone. I'm getting back to you. We spoke yesterday. You had, obviously we had a nice chat, and you looked at ABC Company, and you needed to see some more information. Did you have an opportunity to get through the rest of that information that I sent you via email, or however you sent it to them? And really, the purpose at this point is to get their questions answered and to kind of get their temperature a little bit more. Are they hotter or are they colder after having seen that second piece of information? So. My question is essentially is this. Well, Bob, do you have any questions that I can address for you? How do you feel about what you just heard? This is an ideal situation to be bringing in an upline, a leader, an expert on a three-way call. If you're new and you're kind of just getting going and you're doing if you're trying to do all of these follow-up calls totally on your own, I think you're kind of missing the boat. You're missing the opportunity to grow and learn by watching somebody else who's a pro in action. So there's definitely something to be said about utilizing upline leadership, and I really hope you're doing that. So the follow-up call is actually quite simple. Hi, is Bob in? Yeah, this is Bob. Hey, Bob, Todd Falcone, how's it going? Good. Listen, did you watch the website? Did you watch that movie that we talked about? No, I didn't. Okay, well, that's not a good sign, especially if he promised me that he did, so that I know I'm going to reschedule. It's like, well, great. There's really nothing to talk about unless you're ready to sign up, because you told me yesterday you need to get some more information. It's just taking people through this process of, okay, I'm open, I'm interested. Okay, I kind of get a little bit. Okay, that makes sense. Now I got the full details. And what's going to happen is, if you're using your ears, if you're paying attention, the buying signs happen. They're going to essentially lead themselves to a decision. Well, I have some questions about the comp plan. Well, I have. How does this work? How do we actually do this? That's a buying sign. That's actually somebody saying, yes, I'm ready to sign up. Essentially, please, you guys, if you're not really good at signing people up yet, use somebody who is, and put them on the phone with that person and listen to what your sponsor, expert, or upline leader is saying, and take notes and mental note of what they're saying every time they do it. If you were working with me and you were using me for three-way calls, you'd find that virtually 100% of the time what I do is the same. It's like, you introduce me to your guy. I'm like, hey, Bob, great meeting with you. I understand that you're a chiropractor and you're looking to make some change, and you had a chance to watch the video and you liked what you saw in the little video, and Ben sent you, to a website to really kind of deep dig a little further. Are there any questions that I can address for you? If this follow-up call was being done and you were bringing an upline leader in, I'd probably also share my story. I'd say, listen, Ben, let me tell you what's happened for me. I'm not going to just go in and talk about myself. I'm going to find out about the prospect. Remember, the other thing is, you need to learn to listen rather than talk. Listen rather than talk. It's so funny when I've had people prospect me, or I've heard people prospect, and they pick up the phone and they go, "Hi, is Bob in?" "Yeah, this is Bob." "Hey, Bob, this is Todd Falcone. Listen, I'm getting back to you. I understand that you might be looking for a way to make some money working from home." "Yeah, that's true." "Well, let me tell you all about my business." "Well, this is great, wonderful product. It's great, wonderful business." It's like, if I'm the prospect, I'm like, "Well, what about me? All you want to do is just tell me about you, tell me about your deal." Find out, listen. If you use your ears, if you ask questions and you listen, you're gonna hear. It's just gonna reveal itself. I mean, really, if you're just present and you pay attention. So how does a follow up call happen? I pick up the phone and I call. They're either there or they're not there. If they're there, it's a good sign. If they're not there, that's not a good sign, obviously. And I'm not going to keep chasing the person, calling them. If they're not showing up on follow-up calls, I'll black line them and move on to the next person. Big deal. That's part of the process, you guys. And then if they're there, I just say, "Well, great, Bob. Did you get through the information?" And if he did, that's a good sign. If he didn't, well, then I'm going to have to get back to him probably at a later time. And he says, "Yeah, I did get through." I'm like, "Super. Well, are there any questions that I can address for you?" "Well, I got a question about this." "Okay, cool. I got a question about that." "Oh, I don't even know the answer to that. Hang on a second." Boom. That's a great time to do a three-way call with somebody who, if you don't have your sponsor upline expert on the phone yet, that would probably be a good time to do it. Get them through the process, and in terms of the close happening, the close will actually kind of happen by itself. I'm actually still have my headset on. The close will happen by itself. Really, I mean, they're going to get to a point where they're going to go like, "Hey, well, how do we get started?" Bang. Worst case scenario, you just have to do this. It's like, "Well, Bob, do you have any other questions?" "No." I'm like, "Great. Well, let's get you signed up. Let me tell you, there's 3 different ways to get started. There's the slow way, the medium way, and the super fast way. Which one do you want to do?" And I explain the difference between the 2 or the 3 ways. You all probably have a couple different ways that you can sign somebody up. Probably the higher package is going to provide more benefit, maybe more commission. I mean, generally speaking, there's a smaller package and a bigger package. I'll tell you this: in any network marketing company I've ever built in 20 years, the bigger package is always what I'm selling, and there's a reason for it, because not because I necessarily make more money on the big package, but that's generally speaking set up for the person to be. It sets them up for success more. Maybe they've got more tools. Maybe they get some extra product that they can have. I mean, every company's a little bit different. But that's kind of how the follow-up call goes. This is Todd Falcone. See you on another blog post soon.